My name is Ryan Harbinson. I am the creative director and co-founder of Island Officials. Started off about 2.5, 3 years ago.
And what is Island Officials?
Island Officials is the first and only game design company out in South Jersey. We make DS and iPhone, basically portable flash and casual pickup and friendly games. I was working at a store in West Stafford, and a buddy of mine who I'd known for a long time, we had talked about doing stuff with games for forever. We worked for, in different game stores together. We worked our way through all the different chains, and we'd see all these games that come out, and we're like, oh, I know I can make something better than this. I know I can do it better. And for a long time, a lot of it was just, it was a lot of talk, and we had ideas and concepts, but we never really had anything to go with. So one day we sat down and we said, all right, dude, let's do this. Let's actually stop talking and actually move forward and do what we want to do. So we sat down and we were able to put together some concepts and ideas. And at the time, I was actually working for a game publisher. We were able to put together a concept for a game that was called Snood, which the publisher I was with had that license. So we tried to put a newer version of Snood out there. And you know what? I thought I had the document here somewhere. There. But we were able to put together like a quick prototype of a Snood game and throw it around when that was almost 3 years ago. And here we are today. Today is the launch of Tangrams right here.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if we can get that on the camera.
Yeah, no,
it's
cool, but
here,
yeah, I have the box, and here's the first cart. You know, this has been about a 2.5, 3 year process to get just this little 8 meg cart out and actually be able to put it in stores. But hey, it's on Amazon, it's on Walmart.com, and we're really, really excited. And we have a lot of cool stuff in development now, and we're moving forward and really learning a lot. Well, the first thing was, the biggest one was trying to find a place to work. And that was an adventure of its own. We were able to work at one of the programmers' house, and that was good, but he wasn't very clean, so there was that aspect to it too. So everyone had to walk into dirty houses, and for some reason, he would always cook food in the summertime, and it would be extra hot in there when we would come in. So not only would we be trying to work on games and make stuff, we'd also be sweating our asses off at the same time. So we were able to work out of there for a little bit, but we had this whole room that was kind of taking, it got to the point where once we kind of realized it after 2 or 3 months of we were going to do Island Officials and we were really going to do this whole thing, everybody on the team kind of was just like, anywhere and any place and any type of computer equipment or electronic equipment that someone doesn't want, I will happily take. And I was able to get a huge amount of stuff, and I was getting lucky because the publisher I was working with was actually getting rid of a lot of things, and we were able to confiscate a lot of their stuff and take it for our own. So, but one of the biggest hurdles, I would say, was trying to work with something that was similar to what Nintendo was actually using, but at the same time, unless it's hard to get licensed by Nintendo unless you have an actual building that you work out of.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you need to have money, and that was one thing that we really didn't have a lot of at the time. And unfortunately still really don't have a lot right now. Just trying to get everything over, make it all fit, make it all work, rewriting a lot of the engine, a lot of the code, and basically we wrote our own engine. And for people that really don't understand engines in video games, it's the same as a car. You can't build a car without an engine, and it's the same with games. In order to have a game built, you have to have some sort of core engine that's around it, and then you can build the entire game around that engine. So our engine was kind of compatible with Nintendo's stuff, but it really wasn't, so we had to really not only rebuild Tangrams, but also rebuild the engine to fit to Nintendo's formula and how they write all their stuff. So basically the approval process is a lot of testing. And it basically starts off with you go through what's called lot check. And that's Nintendo's way of being able to check stuff. But before that, you go through what's called like a testing. You go through like a testing group. And the testing group goes in, they test all your stuff. Once they find things that are approved and are disapproved by Nintendo, they can come back and they give you a list of what's right, what's wrong. Then basically you have to go back, you fix all the bugs so that when it goes into Nintendo, actually physically through Nintendo, that it can pass through the first or maybe fail once for stuff that even the testing company doesn't know Nintendo looks for. And then once it gets approved, then you're out, you get your packaging approved and your labels and all that approved, and then it gets printed, and then, you know, it ends up like this. So this industry has changed so much from where it was 10 years ago, because there's so many, you know, I don't hate on the casual gamer, but the casual gamer has dominated this industry now. With Wii out there and the DS and everything like that, it's kind of evolved to the point where it's not cool to play video games anymore. You know what I mean? Like, when I was growing up, it was Super Nintendo and Genesis, it was like considered like a hobby, like making model airplanes. It was like, oh, well, I play video games. You know, it's evolved so much more now, and, you know, we're at November 19th, and last weekend, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out, and it made $375 million in a day. Like, this industry is so much different, but it still shows you that the hardcore are still around, but nowhere near what it used to be, because it's all about, you know, attaching licenses to product now. $20 games are a huge thing now. That's the whole budget area, where before a lot of that stuff was, the stuff that couldn't sell was in a dump bin for $10 of this every year games crap, and it's the same shit every year with a different guy on the cover, or it's the same game for $60 every time. You know, I like it if you're gonna do a 2-year, if you're gonna do an every year game. I love the double team process. So like, you look at games like Splinter Cell, and Splinter Cell is done by two different groups. It's done by Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Shanghai, and basically they alternate in their development cycles. So it's a 2-year development cycle, but it comes out every year because each one overlaps the other. Call of Duty does that as well. Mortal Kombat was doing that for a long time, and a lot of these games are really starting to see that if you're going to make something that's quality, but you still want to put it out every year, you do double development. But you look at games like Madden and Tiger Woods and all the EA sports stuff that really, from a developer perspective, it's going to take them 2 to 3 months to get it tested and approved by Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. Okay, so there, boom, that's 3 months out of the year. Okay, you figure they're going to take 1.5 to 2 months off after the game comes out and they're done. So boom, there's 5 months going. So now you're already looking at a 7-month process, which is really probably only 6, maybe 5.5 because of testing and development and all that. So you're looking at 5.5 months to make a full game and put it out every year. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad way to go, but at the same time, that kind of content shouldn't be full price. If those games came out at $40 every year for 360 and PS3, they would sell more than they would at $60. And people would still buy it if it was 40. I think that it angers me with that kind of stuff.